And the tip will go after the scramble to Ohio State. This is Clark Kellogg, and Kellogg is just a super ball player. Larry Huggins, a part-time starter a year ago. A lot of people didn't expect much out of Ohio State this year. They graduated 4 of their 5 top scorers. Here's Kellogg from outside, and he cans it right away, and Ohio State goes up on top by a score of 2-0. Kevin Boyle looking inside to Greg Stokes, passes instead to Carfino. This is Gannon. And around the perimeter. Stokes has really got his work cut out for him inside, going against Waiters a couple inches taller. Just underway, pull up a chair. Join us along the Iowa Television Network. Some kind of a ball game that we had Thursday night, wasn't it? And Steve Carfino, just like he did against Michigan State, comes out hot, and we're tied at 2. What a great ball game Steve Carfino had against the Spartans. Stokes with the pass in the corner to Tony Campbell. And so the Buckeyes break the press, and they lead it 4-2, a faster paced game than we have seen, but it is still very, very early. Gannon from outside. Both teams shooting 100% from the floor, and after 1 minute and 21 seconds, we're tied at 4. Your impressions, Sharp?
Both teams are very patient, but yet they're looking for the outside jump shot. This could be quite an exciting one because both teams are offensive conscious.
Stokes and an offensive foul. Mark Gannon took the charge so well.
You know, we might see this again, but all Stokes has to do is, as he passes off, go at about a 45-degree angle. Instead of continuing onto the basket, they forget after they pass. He should then just take a little sidestep one way or the other, and he could avoid that.
Freshman mistake. You wouldn't expect him to be making that when he's in a junior or senior season. Quick pass, Carfino to Gannon. Now baseline to Boyle. He'll go up over Waiters, gets it blocked once. Again, he's fouled. A good look at Eldon Miller, now in his 6th year, coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Eldon Miller really in trouble. I'm talking job jeopardy last year when he had all that great talent and they finished in the 2nd division. This year they say he could be up for Coach of the Year honors if Ohio State continues to contend for the Big Ten title.
I was over at the Ohio State practice yesterday evening. They had a hard time getting in, but while I was talking to Eldon, he was very relaxed. He says his ball club is playing better than anyone thought, and he seemed a very, very relaxed, and I might add, secure coach.
A lot different from last year. He wasn't relaxed at all. Kevin Boyle hits the first of 2. He gets the second here.
I was glad to see Kevin Boyle make the move to the basket. Up at Michigan State, he only had 2 shots against that Michigan State zone, and I'm sure that Kevin has to be thinking more offensively.
The one he made was a great drive early in the ball game there, and then he didn't shoot except for one other time, a little turnaround in the lane he didn't hit. Iowa on top for the first time in the ball game, 5-4. We played over 2 minutes. Bob Hogan, Sharm Sherman from the Iowa Fieldhouse. Waiters with a great pass from Kellogg. Huggins steals it away from Boyle on the rebound. Ohio State, a very good offensive board club. Here's Campbell. Doesn't hit it. Kellogg, no good. Flat shot. Kellogg. Wow. 4 shots there by Ohio State. Kellogg, considering an excellent passer, an excellent offensive rebounder. You saw both right there. They lead it 6-5, 17-23 left to play in the first half. Carfino gets a pick. Can't do anything with it. Over to Kenny Arnold. Expect really big things out of Steve Carfino. He has just been playing some super basketball as of late. And Stokes has it rejected by Kellogg. Here's Boyle with the offensive rebound. Stokes hit 5 of 6 against Michigan State the other night. Carfino from outside. Good again. Iowa by 1, 7-6. Huggins across the midcourt line. Over to his freshman running mate, Ron Stokes, out of Canton, Ohio.
Iowa's in a basic matchup zone. It looks like a 2-3 sometimes, and it looks like a 1-3-1 at times. They're doing a pretty good job, but Ohio State is attacking it very well.
Waiters to Kellogg, baseline jumper, no good. Gannon right there. Quickly ahead to Kenny Arnold, and Arnold has some trouble with it, so he has to slow it down just a bit. Gannon looking for his shot, good. Gannon squared up. He was shooting that all the way. Iowa up by 3, 9-6. We played almost 4 minutes.
we remarked that both teams are looking for the baskets, and Iowa especially is doing a great job, and there's a foul on a good help.
A big game going on. Minnesota and Indiana will try to keep you posted on that one. Clark Kellogg forces a jumper, hits it against the double team, pulls the Buckeyes to within 1, 9-8.
Talked to Steve Carfino right before the ball game, before the Hawks took the court. He said his knee was back to normal on Friday, and I don't see any effects of the bruise or bump that he got at Michigan State.
It was just a bump on the kneecap. He didn't even remember where he got it. He just looked down one time, saw the bump, so he came out of the ball game. You remember him limping back onto the court, playing an excellent floor game in the second half, even though he wasn't really an offensive factor.
After the timeout just recently, Ohio State went into a man-to-man defense.
Stokes against Kellogg, and Waiters and Gannon right now matched up. Kevin Boyle guarded by Campbell. Gannon had trouble with it, gets away with it. Stokes not turning around looking for that shot after he had his first one rejected. 14:57 left to play here in the first half, and tipped out of bounds by
I think the whole Ohio State attitude is better now that they've lost some of their stars. They're playing as a team.
the Big Ten's leading rebounder, gets another board. Iowa in that zone. Carfino with the steal. 2-on-1 break. Carfino all the way. Good. He's fouled. Steve Carfino, the sophomore from Bellflower, California, who has really matured here in the late going.
Bob, as we're watching it again, watch how Steve slows up a little bit to make sure that he has control of himself, kind of setting up.
Ron Stokes, who fouled him, now has 2 personal fouls. And Iowa with its biggest lead, 12-8. 14-17 left to play here in the first half. Campbell, he has 2 points, a good offensive threat. Shows you a little bit of it right there. Has a tendency to get out of control somewhat. Greg Stokes with a rebound. Stokes has to become a bigger factor on the boards. He had some problems against the Spartans. He misses everything right there. A little bit too hard with it. Stokes inside. Campbell goes up against Stokes. He scores. And Campbell hits it. So back-to-back 3-point plays and a 1-point ball game again. Iowa 12, Ohio State 11. Team fouls now. Ohio State with 3, Iowa with 2. Good full court pressure by Ohio State. Iowa just gets it across the timeline. 13:30 left to play before intermission. Arnold inside to Gannon. Has it tipped out of bounds by Clark Kellogg.
Mark Gannon just said to Kenny Arnold, he says, give a fake high pass and give me a bounce pass in the post. He thinks he can post up in there on Kellogg.
Gannon, baseline jumper, no good. Weak side rebound, Kevin Boyle. Arnold from way outside, no good. Greg Stokes with a rebound, and he clears it to Arnold. And an appreciative round of applause here from the Hawkeye faithful. And Arnold just traveled.
Me that he was going to grab 10 rebounds today. Let's see if we can hold him to that.
Only 4 against the Spartans the other day. And Campbell clearing out, and an offensive foul.
The game started off, both teams hit their first 4 shots, or each hit 2 out of 2, but the pace and scoring has slowed down a little bit.
And Brian Johnson, number 44 in the ball game with the steal right there. Johnson, a 6'7" senior out of Washington, D.C. He's in the ball game for Campbell, who apparently got out of control in Eldon Miller's mind. Stolen away by Boyle. Quickly ahead to Arnold. 3-on-1 break. Arnold all the way. Scored. Great body control by Kenny Arnold. And he was grabbing at his hands a little bit as he went down the court, so we'll have to keep aware of his hands, whether he might have been touched with his fingers or something there. So be aware of that. Iowa by 3, 14-11.
Kenny Arnold came down on the same control type of break. He had a 2-on-1 situation. He wanted to make sure, so he took his time and set up his drive. They both used their head, both Carfino and Gannon.
Kellogg with an offensive rebound. Johnson, we've got a foul. And the foul will go against Granville Waiters on the weak side. Waiters second. See if we can spot it right here. Big Ten standing.
You said
too many teams get that far ahead at Bloomington.
very true.
Steve Carfino with 7 points, leading all scorers in the ball game. He had 9 in the first half at Michigan State. Leading scorer for Ohio State, Clark Kellogg with 6. Iowa's biggest lead has been 4 points. Boyle against Campbell. And right now Ohio State going without Granville Waiters. So Clark Kellogg and Bryant Johnson in there playing the big spots for Ohio State. And Arnold left alone. Is Iowa their biggest lead?
Now the reason that Kenny was able to go in unmolested is that the Hawks were running their offense so strongly on the other side, it occupied the other defensive man, and they didn't see Kenny go in.
Here's Johnson guarded by Stokes, close to the 5-second call. Campbell outside, won't give it up. He wants to play offense, doesn't he? This is Larry Huggins, gets the pick. Troy Taylor is in the ball game for the first time for Ohio State. He's number 14. Campbell from way outside misses everything. Arnold, quicker than Huggins, wanted to take him in, couldn't do so. Huggins cut him off baseline. 10-14 left to play here in the first half. Iowa 16, Ohio State 11.
That forced jump shot by Campbell there, after a team gets a little frustrated when they can't run their offense, they cast up a shot. Michigan State did that a couple of times that helped the Hawks last Thursday night. You still have to be patient. It isn't costing you anything to hold on to the ball and be patient for a good shot.
Arnold around Huggins again, he scored! Arnold is just killing Huggins. Kenny Arnold so quick, 6 points, and Iowa leads by 7, 18-11. Listen to this crowd. Kellogg misses. Huggins inside. He misses, and Boyle with the rebound. The place is going crazy. They haven't beaten Ohio State here in a long time. 3 straight losses in Iowa City. 9:15 left first half. Kevin Boyle. Iowa by 9.
Lute Olson wanted the crowd to get into the ball game, and I talked to Eldon Miller last night, and he said, I see where Lute wants the crowd to get into the game here in Iowa City. He says, I don't think the Hawks have ever had any trouble getting the crowd into the game here.
Campbell scores on the other end, pulls the Buckeyes within 3. Stokes inside, left-hander, good! And what's the foul inside on Campbell? 6'3" junior out of Brooklyn, New York. And Stokes hits it. So well down the stretch against Michigan State on Thursday night. Gets into the ball game very early here this afternoon. Carfino tips it out of bounds.
Denard, nice to see.
23-13 Iowa. A 10-point advantage with 8:26 left to play before halftime. Hope you're enjoying this in Northwest Iowa on KTIV Sioux City. Davy Jones hit. He was the Class A Player of the Year last year in Ohio, considered an excellent shooter.
Jones just came into the game, and that's pretty tough to do. Come into a ball game
here. Left to play before halftime. Iowa leads it by 10, 25-15. And Granville Waiters comes back into Ohio State's lineup. With him out of there, Iowa really made a
scoring is centered in Kellogg and Campbell. They have not gotten a point out of their guards outside of that jump shot by Davy Jones.
Campbell was 7 and Kellogg was 6. Lead the Buckeyes at this point. Troy Taylor. Here's Davy Jones. Inside Kellogg. Wheels on Gannon. Doesn't hit it. At this point, Ohio State hitting below 40% and Iowa at 62%. 7:16 left to play in the first half. Hansen to Gannon. And Kevin Boyle guarded by the bigger Clark Kellogg. Gannon left wide open, and he scores. The junior out of Iowa City, Regina. Having an outstanding season, gives Iowa its biggest lead, 27-15.
Bob, we've remarked all through the year, if Mark Gannon would look for that 17, 18-foot jump shot when he comes out in that Iowa offense, that would be the one thing he could do to help the Hawks more than anything else, and he's starting to do it today, really for the first time.
Kellogg all the way. His shot looked to be partially blocked by Anderson. And Kevin Boyle had a high dribble come up and hit him in the face. Traveling is the call. And so the turnover will go to Ohio State.
So much. The last time when he and Bobby were in there, no one wanted to play the point. So Lute Olson saw that and said, we better get Steve Carfino back in there to run the offense.
Granville Waiters, just before the 5-second call, to Jones. Back to Waiters now. Tries to go baseline, couldn't do it. Campbell from outside, he wants the ball. 9 points, a 10-point lead. Stay tuned at halftime for Frosty Mitchell's guest, football coach Hayden Fry. That should be very interesting. That's at halftime. Frosty with Hayden. 6 minutes left here in the first half. Iowa by 10. Inside Boyle, left alone, can't hit it. Anderson tips it in. Greg Anderson, the man they call the garbage man because he always knows where the ball is. And he gets the offensive board and the score, and Iowa back up on top by 12. Kellogg leans in and scores. What a great player he is.
Some kind of a shot there. Tried to draw the foul. Mark Gannon did a good defensive job, and he hit just like Bobby Hansen did.
Bobby Hansen pulls up in the lane and hits. Iowa by 12, 31-19. But don't count your chickens before they hatch, to borrow a cliche. Remember last year, Iowa well in front in the first half and ended up losing to Ohio State, the first game of the Big Ten season. Davy Jones hits again. Jones now with 4 points. The lob to Hansen and too high. Gannon tried to save it, couldn't do so. The ball will go back to the Buckeyes. And you see Lute Olson up there talking to Steve Carfino. And here come the Buckeyes.
Carfino is used to running the point right.
Campbell with 9, Kellogg with 8, and Jones with 4.
The scouting report on Jones, I'm not sure if there is much one. He's a freshman and hasn't played very much. So I'm sure the Hawks are going to have to put a little more pressure on his outside shot, though.
Here's Troy Taylor's first shot. And Taylor hits it. Taylor averaging 8 points a game. And 31-23 now. Iowa had led by as much as 12. Bobby Hansen against Dave Jones. Jones scored, by the way, over 32 points a ball game in high school. He can really score. They liken him to Todd Birkenpass, by the way. Played at a small school. Stokes has the ball knocked away as he turned around. Crowd getting behind the Hawkeyes, and the foul will go against Kevin. Good ball under his own bucket. An 8-point Hawkeye advantage now with 4:02 left to play here in the first half.
If you notice on the zone over there, when Jones gets the ball, Bobby Hansen is probably 3 feet out on the court on him. See there? He's not going to let Jones have that open shot again.
Kellogg gets one, however. And boy, I want to tell you, in the words of Sharm Sherman, he drained that. A 6-point lead. 31-25, so what was a 12-point advantage is now down to 6. Carfino to Boyle, left alone. Kevin doesn't hit it. And Craig Anderson went up with Kellogg. Kellogg went a little bit higher. Here comes Taylor. 31-25, the game getting much closer. Taylor with the drive, and he's fouled by Hansen.
Starting lineup, back in the game now. As you said, good move by Steve Carfino. Look at him go.
Steve Carfino with the steal and the layup. That'll get the points back in a hurry, won't it?
He's putting on a show for his mother, who's in town, and brother Donnie played at Southern Cal. They're in town for the next 2 or 3 ball games, and Steve's putting on a show.
And Carfino with the steal, ahead to Stokes. Stokes with a jam! I've been waiting for that all season long. Oh my, Greg Stokes. and you can credit half of it to Steve Carfino. Iowa by 10, they're blowing the roof off. And Stokes with the block, ahead to Carfino. All the way, yes! Fouled by Jones. Stokes with the block, wants the go-ahead pass. Carfino all the way, and yes, it goes.
Carfino and the rest of the Hawks, an awful lot of credit there. Steve Carfino's probably tired why he missed that free throw from running up and down the court as much as he has the last couple minutes.
Carfino with a game-leading 11 points. Granville Waiters guarded by Denard. 2:10 left to play here in the first half, and Campbell has the ball go off
right now. Stokes has just had a slam dunk. He's going to be fired up. We get Jerry Denard into a ball game when there's not a lot of pressure on him. Let him play the last couple minutes without any pressure. A good move by Luke.
Boyle inside to Denard. Waiters looked like he might have gone over the back. No call was made. 1:47 left to play here in the first half. Lute Olson was up off the bench on that one. Didn't like it at all. Huggins to Waiters. This is Stokes. Kellogg knocks over Gannon, and the foul will go against Steve Carfino. Apparently after Gannon, and that's what Gannon wanted to do.
Well, Mark isn't very strong. I can see where they could knock him down very easily.
12 points for Clark Kellogg. That's tops in the ballgame. Carfino has 11 for the Hawkeyes. 1:20 left to play now before intermission. Remember Hayden Fry with Frosty Mitchell at halftime, so stay tuned. Boyle with it now to Gannon in the lane. Kenny Arnold has a little trouble with it.
Wise move, Kenny. Bring that ball out. Let's watch Denard and Waiters inside. They're going at each other very strongly. Someone's going to be called for a foul soon.
And Carfino somehow gets it to Boyle. Boyle has it blocked by Waiters. 3-on-1 break now. Stokes to Kellogg. Blocked. And a foul is called on Kellogg, who missed the first one. Hits the second one. 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1, and Taylor's shot, no good. And so Iowa takes 11-point lead into the locker room. Iowa 39, Ohio State 28. Stay tuned for Hayden Fry at halftime on the impact. Kenny Arnold, Steve Carfino, Kevin Boyle, and Greg Stokes. And Ohio State also going with the starting lineup to start the game for them. Kellogg, Campbell, Waiters, Stokes, and Huggins. I thought one of the most telling things of the first half was the way that Kenny Arnold handled Larry Huggins. Just out-quicked him.
Kenny Arnold was 4 for 5, but he used his head and drove around Huggins 3 times, and Ohio State did not give Huggins any help at all. And as we said, that's because the Iowa offense is so active. They were actually doing a good job of keeping the Ohio State defenders occupied. They couldn't help out on Arnold's drive on Huggins.
Gannon's shot is rejected from behind by Ron Towns along the sideline. Carfino into Arnold. There's been a switch right there. Arnold now guarded by Stokes, and Carfino is guarded by Huggins. Both were very hot in the first half, Carfino and Arnold.
Iowa's in what they call their triangle, their inside power game. Their triangle, Gannon, Boyle, and Stokes just screening for each other continually with Arnold and Carfino on the outside.
And Mark Gannon, 41-28, the biggest lead for Iowa in the ballgame. Final on that Minnesota-Indiana game. The Gophers have defeated the Hoosiers 69-62 as Huggins hits on the Ohio State end. So the Gophers keep pace. It will be Iowa and Indiana along the Iowa Television Network on Thursday night. So set your watches for that one, 7:30 this Thursday night, Iowa and Indiana. Iowa by 11, 41-30. Almost stolen away by Huggins. Ohio State staying in that man-to-man. Gannon now. Stokes for the free throw line over Waiters. No good. Kellogg with another rebound. We played almost 2 minutes here in the second half. Huggins will try again and hit again. Huggins 2 of 2 here in the second half. Huggins did not score at all in the first half, and the crowd gets back into the ball game. saying don't get flat, Hawkeyes. 41-32, the score now. Arnold for the free throw line, no good. And Huggins with a rebound. This is very similar to what happened late there in the first half when it went from 12 to 6.
I'm sure Eldon Miller said we got very little scoring, no offensive punch out of our guards. Huggins, you're a great shooter. You better start putting that ball up here early in the second half.
Huggins does have a tendency not to look for his shot. Totally different from that. Campbell can't hit either of them. Big break for the Hawkeyes. Here comes Carfino in a hurry. Arnold slows it up. Gannon wide open, and yes. Mark Gannon now into double figures with 10 points. And all 4 of the Hawkeye points here in the second half. Iowa back on top by 11. That was their halftime advantage. 43-32 now. 17:04 left to play. Bob Hogan, Sharm Sherman on the Iowa Television Network. Campbell will try again. He's fouled by Kenny Arnold. He just played 55 minutes last year. Didn't get much playing time as a freshman. But he's seeing quite a bit of action and scoring quite well in double figures for Ohio State. Campbell now with 12 points in the ball game. He's averaging 11. 43-35. Closest Ohio State's been in a while. 8 points now. 16:45. Anderson inside. He scores. He's fouled. Hook. You'll see it right here. And he's fouled by Clark.
I said, senior, don't ask me.
Maybe as a Hawk fan, you didn't want to see him around for the next couple of years. Who knows?
Maybe I wished he was a senior. That's it.
16:32 left to play here in the ball game. A good one. Iowa leading Ohio State 46-35. The Hawkeyes playing very well, as is that man for Ohio State, Clark Kellogg. And he turns and scores. He was in all sorts of trouble, and somehow he got the shot off. Kellogg now with 15 points. Gannon from outside again, yes. Mark Gannon with 6 points in the second half, now 12 in the ball game. And Iowa back up on top by 11 again, 48-37. Trying to make sure what happened last year doesn't happen again, where they blew a 15-point halftime lead and lost that ball game. Huggins over Arnold, no good. And Hansen comes away with it. Tries to slap it ahead to Carfino and does. 2-on-2 break. Carfino stolen away by Campbell. Campbell almost walked, no call. Stokes inside, he scores. And a foul after the Indiana Hoosiers come to the Iowa Fieldhouse. Follow the Hawks all season long on your Iowa Television Network station. 2 team fouls on each team here in the second half. Iowa up by 9. Hansen guarded by Campbell. Over to Gannon, who's been very hot here in the second half. Ohio State stays in that man-to-man. Arnold with a turnaround, no good. Anderson at inside position, but Kellogg can really leap, and he went up and got the rebound. That's why he's the Big Ten's leading rebounder. Kellogg to little Ron Stokes at 5'11", doesn't even appear that tall, actually looks about 5'9", but then went wild with Carfino and Stokes with a magnificent jam in the first half. And Iowa led by 11 at halftime. They lead by 9 right now with 14:46 left. Campbell inside, I think he traveled. No, a foul was called on Hansen, and Hansen's gonna
got him in the face with a finger or something, but it sure didn't look very bad.
Hansen just reached in just a little bit, I guess. 48-41, 14:35 left to play in the ball game. Much higher scoring affair than we've seen in the Big Ten.
Playing an awful lot of poise in all phases of the game, and especially that outside shot.
Hansen, and he's fouled. And the second one is good for Hansen. He's 3 of 4 at the foul line here in the ball game. Iowa by 8, 49-41. The crowd very much in this one, giving defensive encouragement right now to Iowa. Campbell over a couple of guys. We'll see if an offensive foul is called. Yes, it is. Johnson.
I like Campbell. I think he's a good ball player, and he could play on a lot of teams here in the Big Ten, and that's going to hurt Ohio State, him picking up his 4th foul.
13:55 left to play in this one. Iowa by 8. Great move by Arnold. Yes! Kenny Arnold using the basket to protect the basketball. And the great reverse layup. Iowa by 10.
Ron Stokes into the pivot. He's been open a couple of times. Hawks haven't hit him. That time they did give him a little lob, and he maneuvered very well one-on-one on the 5'11 Stokes.
13:25 left to play in the ball game. Iowa up by 10. Carfino, who's been perfect, misses this time. I think the ball might have been partially blocked. Stokes, and I think he's like Kenny Arnold. Spectacular is the only word that comes.
The Arnold move almost warranted an oh my, didn't it, Bob?
51-42, 13:06 left to play here in the ball game. Anderson with the turnaround has it partially blocked. And Waiters comes up, and here come the Buckeyes, trailing by 9. Huggins, who hit 2 early in the second half, hasn't shot since then. Kellogg with the turnaround. Carfino goes up in the air, and let's see.
It's awfully hard when you get 4 or 5 players going up for 1 rebound. It's awful hard to call a foul on 1 out of those 4 or 5.
Hansen guarded by Huggins. Carfino, he's going to try the same move. Yes, it goes. Oh my!
That definitely warranted an oh my. Now there, the Hawks are doing the same thing though, Bob. Steve Carfino is taking advantage of Ron Stokes. This is a coaching move on Lute Olson's part, saying we're going to make them pay for playing a 5'11 guard inside.
Granville Waiters comes and quiets down the crowd, quiets down Bob Hogue and Sharp Sherman. 53-44, 11:53 left to play in the ball game. Gannon from outside, he's been hot. Yes, he gets the bounce. That's just touch right there. 55-44 now, 11:40 left.
Mark Gannon's outside jump shot that rattled around and could have gone out. Steve Carfino had to have the bounce of the ball. So the Hawks have had a couple buckets, fortunate buckets, you might say.
Johnson for the free throw line over Hansen, and Johnson scores. Pulls Ohio State back to within 9. Changes in the guard court for Ohio State. Troy Taylor is in there right now, along with Dave Jones. Jones, who hit a couple of outside jumpers in the first half. Gannon decides not to shoot it. Carfino, who had the hot hand in the first half.
Let's watch the Hawkeye offense a little bit. Bobby Hansen, Craig Anderson, and Mark Gannon playing the inside triangle. Watch, they're very patient. The Hawks are patient with their offense. There it goes, inside.
And Hansen with a great turnaround jumper. Some might have said that he forced that one just a little bit, but it went in nevertheless. Iowa back on top by 11, 57-46. Johnson over Hansen again. Last time he hit it, this time he did not. 10:32 left. Carfino, Hansen. Hansen thought about it. Double dribble.
Maybe we'll see it again, but if not, let's just take my word for it.
Okay. And traveling the call on Troy Taylor. I would agree with you. I didn't see a double dribble there. 10:05 left to play in the ball game. Iowa 57, Ohio State 46.
Watch that triangle offense of the Hawks.
Team fouls right now. Ohio State with 6, Iowa with 5. Crowd comes back to life again. Johnson guarded by Boyle. Taylor by Carfino. And this is Davy Jones. Still plenty of time for Ohio State to make a run. Almost a 5-second call, didn't get it. 9:30 left to play in the ball game. They're in trouble. Both times it netted a foul call. Carfino ahead to Arnold. Here's Stokes. And he wanted to jam, but he got it with the wrong hand. And it will go out of bounds to Ohio State. Stokes coming in.
He'll make those as the season goes on.
And for the first time in the game, the freshman running backs for the Buckeyes in the game at the same time. And Waiters hits for Ohio State. Freshman running backs Troy Taylor and Ron Stokes. Okay. Ohio State has hit 64% of its shots here in the second half to try to get back in this ball game. They trail by 9. 57-48, Kellogg just travels with 5. The leading scorer overall, Clark Kellogg with 15, Tony Campbell with 14. So Ohio State's forwards really keeping them in here. 8:43 left. 57-48 Iowa. Boyle hounded by Campbell. Campbell back into the lineup with 4 personal fouls. Eldon Miller wanted his offense, however. Stokes to Hansen. Inside to Stokes for the turnaround. No good. Campbell gets the rebound. The Buckeyes on the run. Troy Taylor got the high bounce.
They know they're going to have to try to catch up this 9-point deficit. They need a little more speed in the ball game.
Both teams with 16 fouls, so the next foul on either team will send a man to the line for the bonus. 8:03 left. No scoring at all for the last about 3 minutes of the ball game.
The Hawks are going to be patient with their offense, I think, now. They've got a 9-point lead. They're not going to be forcing too much. Working the ball in. The ball's out at the point or out at the wing, and they hit inside real well, just like they did to Gannon, and then Ohio State has to pay for it.
Gannon gets the first one. Here's his bonus opportunity. A 10-point advantage now by Iowa. Second one also good. So Iowa back up on top by 11. That was their halftime lead, 59-48 is the score right now. And Ohio and Clark Kellogg will go to Tony Campbell. Iowa with a lineup now that includes Bobby Hansen, Kenny Arnold, Kevin Boyle, Greg Stokes, and Mark Gannon. Ohio State with Troy Taylor, Ron Stokes, Tony Campbell, Clark Kellogg, and Brian Johnson. And this is the freshman Stokes with a great move. That has to rival Arnold's or Carfino's move right there. Stokes scores. And Stokes with 5 points and a 59-50 game now. And Stokes gets him get in. Bad weather. And Hansen with a pair of free throws puts Iowa back up on top by 11 points, 61-50. Hansen now with 9 points of the ball game. Campbell can't do it. Kellogg will try. He can't do it, so Campbell tries again and scores.
The basket by 0-0, Tony Campbell.
Tony Campbell leading all scorers in the ball game now with 16 points. 61-52, 6:42 left in the ball game. Bob Hogan, Sharm Sherman live from the Iowa Fieldhouse. Hansen, Kevin Boyle. Gannon wants to go back door, but Boyle can't get to him. Boyle protecting it, gets it to Hansen. Hansen with the jumper, no good. Stokes right there, tried to rebound, jam it. Hansen will try it, he's knocked down. And I'll tell you, Hansen's real upset because I think the foul was before Hansen got knocked down, and you could have seen fire in his eyes that time. Watch it here, Hansen with the jumper. Watch Stokes get way up there, he just misses. And then Hansen just get caught. Iowa will now go with a very small lineup as Hansen hits 1 of 2, 62-52. Iowa now with a lineup, get this, no player taller than 6'7". Gannon, Hansen, Boyle, Carfino, and Arnold. And that's Huggins from outside. Huggins hits his third from the field in the second half. 62-54. Arnold over Taylor. And that's just a simple mismatch right there. Arnold 3 inches at least taller than Troy Taylor. And Eldon Miller is going to try to both teams in the bonus situation. Troy Taylor will lead it off for the Buckeyes now. Over to Huggins, who just hit a long one from outside. And Carfino with the steal. Boyle now is going to protect the basketball. Gannon to Carfino. Iowa with its ball handlers into the ball game. What a great job they did against Michigan State on Thursday night. And Iowa won a game by 1 point because they protected the ball so well. Down to 5:15 now. Arnold over to Hansen inside to Gannon, but stolen away. Clark Kellogg read that one. Kellogg's having all sorts of troubles, and he has it stolen right back by Hansen. So turnabout fair play right there.
I watched Bobby Hansen after he threw the bad pass. He was bound and determined he was going to get that ball back, and he stayed with it.
Carfino just does get out of the lane. Kevin Boyle, double team, he's fouled. And the foul will go against Clark. And he's short on this one. Kevin sometimes gets tired, and late in the ball game, his shots will come up short from the line. Did right there. Ohio State with a chance to pare it down to 8. Kellogg, double team, baseline jumper, good. Great offensive player.
Clark Kellogg.
17 points now for Kellogg. He leads all scorers in the ball game. 4:20 left to play. Iowa by 8, 64-56. A foul away from the ball. Let's see who it goes against. Brian Johnson, number 44. And Gannon hits the first one. Gannon now was the charm because Mark Gannon, in fact, this might even be his best game as an Iowa Hawkeye. I might even venture to say that.
I think so, and I think he also rose to the occasion of knowing he was going to be on Clark Kellogg, and he wanted to show some people.
3 left to play in the ball game. Hope you've enjoyed this one along the Iowa Television Network. Kevin Boyle across the midcourt line over to Steve Carfino now. And Gannon can get to the 20 mark. And he doesn't because
A lane violation on the
lane violation called against Bobby Hansen, so the second free throw does not count. Iowa by 9, 67-58. Gannon with 19. He'll have to wait a little while to get 20. Stokes with the turnaround and gets the nice bounce. A 7-point advantage now.
basket by Ron Stokes.
67-60, 3:28 left to go in the ball game. The Hawkeyes still not out of the woods. Boyle to Gannon. And here's Carfino. He'll slow it up a bit. We'll see if Iowa continues to look for the shot or whether they'll just take the time down. Hansen's wide open. He'll turn. He'll look for the shot. Doesn't get it. Here comes Ohio State with a chance to cut it down to 5. 2:55 left to play in the ball game. Stokes with it. He'll drive, and he'll be fouled. Out, so Carfino will now go to the line, and Ron Stokes has just fouled out of the ball game. 1. And it won't go. Gannon fights for the rebound. Boyle's got it. He tips it to Arnold. Great hustle by both Gannon and Boyle after Carfino missed the front end. Here's Arnold now. And the clock working against Ohio State, down to 2:20. Iowa by 5, 67-62. And Arnold is fouled by Troy Taylor. And Arnold, that's why they call him Ice. Right there, hitting the front end, puts Iowa back up on top by 6. A correction on that foul situation for Troy Taylor. Taylor with 4 personal fouls, so he's in danger of fouling out. Kenny Arnold puts the Iowa Hawkeyes back up on top by 7, 69-62. Taylor drives and won't get the bounce, but there's Johnson inside, and Johnson and Gannon. A jump ball situation because Gannon blocked it perfectly. State's ball, you'll get a chance to look at it here. We'll watch Johnson go up, and right on top of the ball is Mark Gannon. Alternate possession rule. Carfino with the steal. Ahead to Bobby Hansen. 2-on-1 break, but hold everything. Hold everything.
The other end, Bobby Hansen and Johnson had a word or two to say to each other.
Basket by Larry Huggins.
Gannon just gets the ball into Carfino. 3-on-2 break here. Carfino is fouled by Troy Taylor, and that's just a little bit. Carfino at the line now to shoot the 1-and-1. And he hits it right there. 70-64 ball game, 1:48 left.
Mark Gannon knows that Steve Carfino was 1 for 3 up at Michigan State there at the end of the ball game and missed the first one here. After he made that free throw, Mark Gannon went up and shook his hand and said, nice going. Look at Mark Gannon getting that ball back out.
What a heady play by Mark Gannon. Tipping that rebound out to the Iowa Hawkeyes, who can work the clock now. Kenny Arnold over to Boyle. And there's a senior for you. He could have gone all the way. He could have shot, but the Hawkeyes don't need the points right now. They need the time to go away. 1:21 left. Iowa hasn't beaten the Ohio State Buckeyes in 4 tries here in the Iowa Fieldhouse. The last 3 times these teams have played.
The toughest thing in basketball is Ohio State now having to come out. It's a tiring thing to try to get a ball.
6 left. Iowa by 7 again.
The Hawks have played a lot of this half with that small ball club that you mentioned earlier.
Here come the Buckeyes, now trailing by 8. They had got down to 5. Really, the offensive rebounding on the free throws was Iowa's strength. Huggins from way outside. Here we go, Carfino to Boyle. 2 men to beat. Boyle with the jam! Kevin Boyle puts Iowa by 10. And the foul will go against Bobby Hansen at the other end. Hansen commits personal foul number 4. Okay, here it is, that great basket by Boyle. First the super save by Carfino. Ahead to Boyle, he's got 2 men to beat, and Kevin up. Yes, Kevin Boyle, the senior co-captain, but 9 points. And Huggins make it 10 after he hit that one right there. So 39 seconds and counting down, the clock underway. Arnold slowly will bring it across.
Right back.
Bobby Hansen all the way, dishes it off, has it stolen away. Hansen might have been better off with the shot right there. I think he would have preferred to shoot. 20 seconds left. Huggins from outside. Doesn't hit this time. The rebound will go to Arnold. 15 seconds left. 13. Hansen now, 3-on-1 break. Hansen with the slam. 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the Iowa Hawkeyes slam the door on the face of the Ohio State Buckeyes. The Hawkeyes beat the Buckeyes 76-66 at the Iowa Fieldhouse. We'll be back to wrap up.